I'm ready for the intro.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Bro Dorable, and I am back with some more Overwatch news. Alright, so let's start by saying, hey, they wanted to talk about competitive mode, but first they just dropped a, hey, we got some heroes and we got some maps coming on later this year. They didn't specify anything, they just kind of threw that out really quickly, and also on top of that, they were talking about upgrading the spectate system. They wanted to make it easier for people who are streaming, for people who are like getting ready for like tournaments and stuff like that. They wanted to make sure that the spectate mode is a lot better. They didn't specify anything for that either, but I just want to throw that in there before we talk about the competitive mode. So let's get right to it. Competitive mode updates. Alright, competitive mode is coming out later on. And they had listened to everybody in the community, what we were saying about the problems that we had with the competitive mode back in the beta, and they decided to change things. One of the big things they were talking about first was the season length. So before, back in the beta, everybody had a 1 month season length. And most people were kind of upset about that because 1 month is not really enough time to show exactly how good you are and where you rank among everybody else in the world, because we got a lot of things going on in our lives. It's not like all of us, no matter how good you are, how bad you are, whatever. If you're playing competitive mode, does not mean you have all of the time in the world to dedicate to competitive mode. So they were like, oh, okay, yeah, that's smart. Let's extend it. They extended it 3 months. So now it's a 3-month based season, which is great because that gives everybody ample time to show how good they are amongst everybody else in the community. They are also basing these seasons on the Northern Hemisphere seasons. They're starting like the first season within the summer season of the Northern Hemisphere. They have plans on taking breaks in between each season. They didn't really give a specific amount of time, but there are going to be breaks between seasons, so it's not going to be like Season 1 ends and the next day Season 2 starts, Season 2 ends, next day Season 3 starts. That's great. That means that it's just not like a constant grind to keep going and keep yourself up to date with everybody else in the world. Now, one of the other things that people in the community were talking about, I saw this a lot on Reddit as well, was how often we went into sudden death mode. So Blizzard saw and they were like, oh, well, the community is seeing that we're going into the sudden death mode roughly 50% of the time, which is just a ridiculous number. That is way too high for competitive mode. And Blizzard's own statistics were showing that they saw it roughly 35% of the time going into sudden death. And again, it wasn't always because one team was so close to the other team and they weren't like evenly matched going and looking like it was going to be a tie kind of thing. It just happened a lot. And they didn't go into detail again, but they were saying they had a lot of things put in place, or they're putting things in place to help minimize that, just so it didn't seem like no matter how bad one team was, they didn't get a slight advantage. I think if one team is really good and they're dominating another team, the other team shouldn't be able to go into sudden death and have a chance to come back if they've been dominated for 95 to 98% of the match. Also, one of the other things they talked about was assault mode. So like Temple of Anumis and Valsalla Industries and stuff like that. They were saying like matches were flipping too quickly, ending too quickly. They didn't really give, it didn't seem like they were giving the teams enough chance to fight back and forth kind of thing. So again, not a lot of information. Hopefully we will be getting some more soon, but they said they have a lot of things in place coming in that will help mitigate that, so the attacking team and the defending team, it'll be more of an even match, and it will be more of a competitive match as opposed to seeming like everything just ends way too quickly. Again, I hope they bring out more information because I'm very excited about this. Now let's move on to the progression. So back in the beta, everything was very progressive heavy. So it was like you wanted to just keep moving up tiers, keep moving up tiers, keep moving up tiers. Like, I mean, that's competitive mode in a sense, and we're all used to that if you play any sort of competitive mode. However, the community felt like it was way too progressive heavy and not as much as competitive heavy, which I kind of have trouble seeing that one. I don't know. I guess I didn't play enough of the competitive mode back in the beta to really see what everybody else in the community is seeing. However, Blizzard did take heart to that, so they're saying that they want to move it from what feels more like a grind to more like a skill-based versus skill-based. That means there are no tiers anymore. You will not have a tier system like we did back in the beta. They're actually doing more of like an MMR kind of thing if you have ever played any other competitive games, which is matchmaking rating. They call it skill rating now, but what it is it's going to be, hey, you're going to play these placement matches or whatever, and after these placement matches, you're going to get a skill rating anywhere between 1 and 100. And those skill ratings are going to put you in a match versus other people with roughly the same skill ratings. The great thing about this is now you're going to be able to see what everybody's skill rating is. No matter if it's the enemy or your team, you're going to see their skill rating, and you get to see the team's skill rating. So you'll be able to see if your opponent has a higher skill rating than your team, or vice versa, or whatever. And they also thought about the fact that, hey, not every single match is going to be on the same level. Not everybody's going to be, oh, hey, this team has a 50 skill rating and this team has a 50 skill rating. It's not going to happen that way. So what they did was the underdogs for the team, so if you got a 50 skill rating and your opponent has a 70 skill rating, you will actually gain more if you win and lose less if you lose, kind of thing. One of the other cool things they do is not only going to show you the skill rating of everybody, but it's also going to show you if your opponents or if your team are in a group or not. So you can tell if you're playing against a full pre-made, maybe 2 people on your opponent's team are together, maybe 3 people, whatever. You will actually be able to see if people in the match in general have a team, which, I mean, doesn't really give you an advantage or a disadvantage. It just kind of lets you know what's going on. I think that's great because it doesn't really help you or hurt you. It's a good idea. It gets you in a good mindset when you're going in and playing. One of the other things they touched on was the reward system. Now, a lot of the time, if you ever played something like World of Warcraft, if you played the arenas in World of Warcraft and you were winning, you would get all this money so you can get these armor and gear and stuff like that, and that would make you better for the PvP aspect of things. And it's kind of disheartening for those people who are casual players or who are good but can't play as often. And Blizzard kind of realized that with this one, and they made it to where if you are good and if you're playing very well, you'll still get rewards, but they're going to be more cosmetic rewards. So one of the things that we're saying is, like, if you're really good in the competitive mode, then you can get something like the Golden Gun, which is, I mean, that's really awesome. It's just a golden skin for your weapon. I mean, can you imagine something like Reinhardt coming in with that golden hammer and just smashing people in the face? That, it sounds fantastic to me. Nothing that will make you a stronger quote-unquote player versus somebody else, but it will make it show that you are that top-tier player versus somebody else who's just not as skilled as you. And that is exactly how it should be. It should be, hey, I got this trophy. This trophy doesn't make me stronger or faster than you, but it does show that I am actually better than you. And my last note that I want to make before I end this video is the fact that it seems like Blizzard is really listening to the community. They have changed a lot of things in their competitive play based on what they've read in our community. Not just their website, but Reddit and YouTube. They're really looking out for us. They're really trying to help change the game to really fit how we want it to be. And what they said was awesome. They said, hey, we understand that not everybody will like all this, and if something comes out that you guys don't like, there's always another season, which is great. That means they are always willing to update and change everything that's going on. So be ready for anything that comes out, and be ready for changes. And if you have a problem with something that is legitimate, make your voice heard. There are probably hundreds of other players that feel the same way as you, and if you guys actually voice your opinions, Blizzard will listen and they will change things. This just goes to show it. We all love Blizzard. We all love Overwatch. You guys keep playing. You guys keep loving it. And if you want to see more videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, we love you guys. Stay awesome.